Yes, sir.
Go hard, or go home.
Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. We're going to do a little repair here first. Got a banana plug wire. Get these two together, show you guys how I solder. There you go. Put a little heat on the wire. Add some solder when your wire's tinned. Just get solder into the wire to begin with. Then I like to heat up my banana plug. Get some of that on there first. There we go. Alright. Now we're going to fill up the banana plug. Put your wire in there while it's hot. Add some more solder, make sure it's full. And finish getting your wire down in there. Give it a second to harden. There we go. If you get that shrink tubing on there while it's still hot, it's a little easier to see it start shrinking on its own, if you can see that. Then you either take the soldering iron and add some heat, or you can use a lighter, mini torch, whatever you got. Shrink it up nice and tight like that. Let it cool down a second, because I'm going to plug it in the power supply so we can have some light. Black Rifle coffee. Good. Not sponsored. But Spirit Control Racing and Hobbies, I am sponsored. Alright, this is cooled down enough. Let's see if we got some light. There we go. Alright, the project I actually planned on doing. I got one of these old Traxxas batteries. Somebody's went bad. And I'm going to take this plug, put it on this battery that I got from Spirit. So your options are cut this off, have short wires, work off the short wires. Or grab you a screwdriver and push these pins out. Try not to stab yourself in the finger. There's the pins. The black thing where the connector is marked plus, minus for your negative and positive. These guys are usually on there pretty good. I don't know what kind of solder they use, but it's good. Pinch that in there. Grab this here. Make sure your soldering iron's hot. Crank it up to 800. See if we can melt that solder. There she goes. Put that one in there to cool down. Let's not burn ourselves on that, so we'll just grab that. Protect your negative. Put the positive down there. It's cooled down. Almost grabbed a hold of something hot. And then we'll do the same thing with this side. If you have a little bit of solder on your tip, it makes this process a little faster. See that? A little quicker. I like to use the ones that came off the old battery just because there's still some solder on there. It's going to make your life easier soldering back on. If you don't have that, you can go ahead and put a little bit of solder on them before you get started. You can see the tip of the soldering iron is not super shiny right now. Take it over here on the sponge, clean it off, and you got a shiny tip again. I can put that on there. You can see it's not really melting. If you just add a little bit of solder to it, it usually melts right away just like it did. And there's your piece of wire. So now we got the Gen Ace battery. It's got XT60s on there. Now this one is live, so you don't want to have positive and negative touching each other. A new battery, first thing I'm going to do is cut the shrink tubing. Go that way so you don't cut all your casing. A lot of times you can use that same piece there. Not the same shrink tubing. You won't have to re-strip it if you do it right. Grab a piece of electrical tape. Scissors. And I usually slide this through here like so. Then there's no way I'm hitting positive. Put that guy on there. Put the positive over here. Put a little pressure on it. And it's the same thing as removing the Traxxas one. Give her a little bit of solder on there. Feel it come loose. And she's off. The little pull. Now, like I said, this is a live battery. You want to make sure that those don't get a chance to touch. And I may be overly cautious, I guess, but I tape everything so that I don't have any issues. I'm not real big on sparks and fire and batteries blowing up in my little race trailer here. So we'll put a little piece of tape on that one. Put it over here. Then we'll get to going on the positive one. Take your electrical tape back off. Call me cheap, I don't care. I'll save it and use it again. Now the way I cut this last one is, you can see down to here where the edge of the casing is. So I'll cut down to there with the X-Acto knife and then stick it into here like so. There you go. Now you haven't cut into your casing, so you don't have to restrip your wire. Throw that in the trash. Clean your soldering tip again. Add a little solder. Still got the soldering iron up about 800 degrees. There we go. Comes right off. There's your old XT60. Use it again down the road for whatever. I actually use them for my ISDT chargers. I can make another lead out of that. Piece of black shrink tube. Put that into there. Alright, so the way I do these don't matter, plus or minus. But you're putting it back on the same connector, so obviously you're going to use the same side because these little locks actually lock into your Traxxas plug. So put that into there. I'm gonna have to spin this guy around. Nope, because then I gotta solder upside down, so let's go this way. We'll spin this guy around. Just like that. So there's a little pressure on it. Then we'll reverse the process. I don't like these connectors, but it's going on a stock Stampede, so it's not going to affect anything. There we are, nice shiny connector. Give it just a second to cool off. It's good to go. Nope, one of the teeth went in there. Never had that happen before. You grab your plug. You got your plus side over here. Almost forgot the shrink tubing. There we go. Take this. Should slide into there. Should slide into there. There we go. Now we got the positive done. Remove your negative and repeat your process again. Let's just put this guy on now and slide it down, it's easier. There we go, a little pressure on it now. A little solder to start the process. Just like that. Give it a second to cool down. Up here where it didn't belong. There we go. In the clear. Slide this guy up here. Just just like so. Add a little heat to the shrink tubing. Plug her into the negative side. And there you are. Traxxas connector done. Somebody had mentioned on a Facebook page the other day that I was on that they kept trying to solder an XT90 and it was melting the plastic. So I have an XT90 here. Yeah, it looks like this is a used one, so it's already got some solder on it. What you're going to want to do is quickly get in there, hit it with some solder, tin it up. Same way we did the other ones. Just like so. Give that a little bit of time to cool down. I'm not sure how big a wire they were using, but we're going to go with that one. Let's see what this is. This is 12 gauge. Blue 12 gauge wire. Looks to be about the correct size for these. I don't use the XT90s. I actually got these from Spirit Control today because somebody asked the question. I said, do you have some of these laying around? He had a whole bunch. So thanks to James Urso for that. So once you have solder on there, you want to make sure you have a little bit of solder on the end of the blue wire or whatever color wire you're going to use. I'd assume red and black, but same thing as before with the other ones. A little bit of solder on there like so. And I am using rosin core, so you're not going to see me using flux. You can use flux to help clean stuff up, which would be that stuff. You can get them off Amazon. This is rosin core 31604 6040 solder. I haven't had any issues with it. This is probably the third roll that I've gone through in the last 2 years. I'm only using it because 15 years ago I had one of these rolls and I finally had a need for it again. I pulled it out and it was this. They still have it on Amazon, so that's what I ordered. Works really good. So I need to go in here, heat your solder back up, get your wire to lay. Of course it moved on me. Try to do this so you guys can see it with the, there we go, this way, and I won't block the light. So heat it up, lay your wire in there. Then hit it with a tiny bit of solder and get your soldering iron out of there. Just like that. It's not coming apart, the plastic's not melted, no issues whatsoever. Just like that. Just gotta be quick. If you're using a regular soldering iron for, I almost said where you get a Radio Shack, but Radio Shack's not really around anymore. We'll call it a Walmart, I guess. I do recommend going to the hobby shop, get yourself a decent soldering iron. You won't be upset with yourself. Like I said, I'm using a TK950, which is a Track Power. There you go, Track Power TK950. Available everywhere. Spirit usually has some in stock. I'm sure your local hobby shop has them. Hobby shoppy. I'm sure your local hobby shop has some in stock also. But I mean, there you go. It's didn't melt the connector. You just gotta be a little bit quick about it. It does look like 12 gauge is about perfect. I'll just show you one of these. I have one that I just cut off an old battery. This is the IC5 or EC5. When you solder in these, you gotta solder them, figure out which way they actually go into the connector. Depending on where you get them, they're either going to go through this way or they may go through from the back after you've soldered it. See, this one will not push in, so this one goes through this way. But I've ordered a few different ones off of Amazon and they will go one way or the other. Once you get it to this point, you have to just take something and force it the rest of the way in. There's a little ridge. Oh, it's feisty. Smack it. So now it's in there. That doesn't literally stick the end of that in there and smack it in order to get it to stay. But that's a EC5, IC5 should be the same thing, I think. Or did they change those? I think they changed those to a style like this. I'm not sure. But that's pretty much what you're going to run into is something like this. XT90s, XT60s. Multiple types of Traxxas plugs, male and female. Deans, these ones. I can show you how to solder these real quick. I think I need a little bit more light. Hang on. These are the quickest connectors to solder right here. What you do is you leave your soldering iron off, and you take these down here and you throw them in the trash can, because you don't want to be soldering those or using them. They heat up, they melt on your vehicles. Again, guess that's my opinion. If you guys have any questions, drop them down in the comment. You want to see me do another connector, let me know. I'll grab it from Spirit. If it's one that I don't usually use, I normally use IC5s, EC5s, XT60s. I use them for my chargers. That's about it. I don't solder anything else. Check out Spirit Control Racing and Hobbies on Facebook. Check out Muskrat's Random RC on Facebook. And then last thing I have here is, we'll give a peek at the trailer one more time here. There's the workbench. She's a mess again. Almost always is. Got bulkheads to put in that guy. That thing's still surviving just about everything I throw at it. That's the Stampede I'm putting on for the wire connectors. Jake's crawler, broken rift. Drag car. Cabinets, vacuum, laminator, tools. Battery can. I took the rubber seal out just in case it catches on fire. It should be able to let the air out. These are a very cheap, nice charger. I have two of them, both connected to my C&M power supply. If you guys want to see a video on that, let me know. Other than that, we're going to get out of here. Appreciate you watching.